Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 10 of This Week in Cloud Computing.
Are we in double digits?
We're in double digits.
Oh, my God.
I cannot believe it, Mark.
I didn't cancel us.
I thought it was episode 2.
Well, it's episode 1 for you.
I can't believe I didn't cancel us. All right, anyway.
So, yes, episode 10. I cannot believe we're already here. It's amazing.
It is kind of unbelievable, to be honest with you.
I know.
Good for us.
You've put up with me that long.
Go us. Go
Wow.
you.
I know. Well, I have my head in the clouds today. No, it's
right,
my
now we're writing your own
nose. I
joke.
know, I'm queen of cheese. Did everybody catch This Week in Venture Capital beforehand?
I saw about half of it because I was prepping for this show, but yeah.
Well, we're probably going to steal Mark Suster from Jason sometime in the near future because
Suster
he's
would be
got
an
quite a bit of background in cloud.
Excellent guest. It'd be an
So
unbelievable
keep
guest.
your eyes open for that. We'll definitely be stealing Suster. We also have an iPad to give away.
We
I
do have an
believe.
iPad to give away, and the great.
I think we need to jump right into that.
Just do that because everyone's
Yeah.
waiting, right? So the contest was basically if you tweeted pound TWiCC, which is our hashtag, and thank our sponsors at Verticore, at NetDNA, NetDNA CDN, and of course Storm on Demand. So at Storm on Demand,
Storm on Demand.
little guy. And if you haven't done so yet, I haven't done the drawing yet.
Oh, should we wait? Wait a few more
last
minutes so we can
second.
go through the next.
Well, I'm about to do it. I don't want to delay anymore. You guys
Yeah.
have had 3 weeks, so you know if you haven't done it yet, that's pretty much it. So I have a little program up on my screen. If you can go to my screen here, called TwitRand, and it's basically something Jason Calcanis turned me on to. It's a completely random Twitter drawing generator thing, basically. So you can search for a hashtag. So I'm going to search for pound TWiCC. Whoever comes up, if they have in fact thanked all 3 of our sponsors and met the requirements of the contest, they will win the iPad. So you ready?
Drum roll, please.
And here we go. I've pressed the magical button. It's thinking. It's thinking. And it looks like TWiCC has won.
TWiCC.
Thanks for sponsoring Verticore. They have, in fact, fulfilled the demands of the contest, the parameters of the contest. So congratulations, TWiCC. You have won the iPad. So I'm going to actually draw 5 more people at random to win a copy of Tony Hsieh's book, Delivering Happiness.
Very good book, by the way.
Have you read it? Have you read the whole thing?
I got it at
Really?
South by Southwest.
So you
he
are
gave
actually
me a copy.
very good. So I will now, at random, here we go. Here's the first winner, Max Schubin. I wonder if Max is.
Max.
No, actually, he did not thank our sponsors in this particular tweet, so I can't use that one. So
Sorry, Max.
Well, Max works at Mahalo too, and he's been a
Yeah.
guest on the show, so that's a little.
That would be like Amanda Coolong coming up, and I know if Hey Coolong came up, that Mark
Exactly.
Jeffrey would say no.
I would absolutely have to say no. I'm sorry. Not that we don't love you, just I have to say no. So next winner
Don't
is
you think hosts need
Dulioid.
iPads?
Dulio, D-U-L-I-O-D, is the first winner of our runner-up prize. I'm going to try to go through these pretty quickly here because I know this is not high-quality content, unless you win, of course, in which case it's very high-quality content.
Oh.
Nope, this person did not tweet sponsors.
Gotta tweet
I'll
the
tell you what,
sponsors.
I don't want to spend the whole show doing this, so I'll do the next 4 after the show,
Sure.
and we will be notified offline. So, but
All
thank
right.
you for everyone for playing.
Fair
and
enough.
Please tweet thanks to our sponsors anyway, because you never know when I'm going to do this again. In fact, I'm very
Exactly.
likely to do it again sometime very soon. So
Can I
it's
borrow
always a
your
good idea.
computer just for a minute?
Okay, before we continue here, I have to announce who our guests are because I'm in for a treat today. I think you are too because our in-studio guest tends to have a bit of information about Mark Jeffrey because they've known each other for a very long time.
But not
So-
well. Not how well can somebody know Mark?
And I'm an enigma.
So the enigma
Wrapped in a question,
Wrapped in
surrounded by bacon.
Exactly.
Crispy bacon.
Everyone, this is Gavin Doughtie. He's a developer at Google. And what do you like your title to be, actually?
I like it to be coder for the people, which you have to say like that.
like this with my
Coder for the
tattoo
people.
showing? Coder for the people.
Yeah.
Ta-da. And then we also have joining us over Skype, we have Jason Baptiste with Cloudomatic. How are you? Can you hear us okay, Jason?
Yeah, I can hear you guys okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, thanks for sticking around, and we're jumping right in now. So, Cloudomatic is our app of the week, so we'll be getting into that later in the show.
Awesome.
And before we jump into anything else, event updates. Interop starts this Sunday. That snuck up on us really quickly.
Oh, it did. Have we announced that one yet? I don't think we have.
Did we what?
Did we announce that before? I don't
We
recall
mentioned
announcing
it, but there are only there's 7 days left to
so
register,
1 week.
and so I found a complimentary. You can get a complimentary conference session if you use the code CNSD. NL05. So we'll put that in the chat room. We'll have that up after the show, but there is a code you can use to get a complimentary conference session. And there's also an Enterprise Cloud Summit on Monday as part of Interop, so that's definitely something worth looking into.
Cool.
Lieberman Software, if you guys remember, Phil Lieberman was one of our guests on the show, one of our very first guests, and they're hosting a webinar on April 29th on the challenges of maintaining security and compliance in the cloud. So we'll put the registration link for that in the chat room as well. So that's coming right up. It's April 29th at 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Cool.
So make sure you check that. And again, that's a great example of someone who just sent in, pitch at thisweekend.com.
That's right. If you have anything to pitch us, pitch at thisweekend.com.
And we'll mention it on the show.
That's right.
And then Cloud Expo Europe. I know we've had guests here, on Skype that are in Europe. And, we've got a number of events that happen over there. So in Prague, the Cloud Expo Europe is happening June 21st to the 22nd, and they still have their call for papers open.
Oh, cool.
So Roberta, let's make sure we get the registration link for submitting speaking proposals. And that's open until April 30th again. So, and also speaking of Europe and clouds, hello, the volcanic ash cloud that's still plaguing everybody in Europe.
Yes, I know. Frodo threw the ring in and screwed up all the air
travel. He
in
did.
Europe.
The one ring to rule them all.
And, oh, well. Oh, we got a Lord of the Rings reference in for the show. So
always. Every single show.
Every single one?
Show.
Yeah.
Yes.
My whole Eye of Sauron bit is just out now.
No, you can do it. You can do it later.
You can fit it in.
That's good.
It'll be okay.
We talk about the number of servers. Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that note, I think we have some news to get into, and then we'll jump back into the drawing, or?
Yeah, I'll do that. We'll do the drawing offline.
So we are now in the news section. HTML5 offers many new web development features. So Gavin, I am curious to see what you think about how this will impact things in the cloud.
Well, I think the main thing that HTML5 is going to give us is a way of producing that richer, more client-like application in the web browser without making the web developer go insane and just jump over backwards to make anything kind of reasonable happen in the user interface. But also to make it a better user experience, because you don't have to send as much stuff down to the browser to make it happen, and things that previously weren't possible are going to be possible.
Like video, for example.
Like video, for example, is a great example. Like right now, if you want to do video on the web,
gotta use Flash.
You've got to use Flash, or people have tried QuickTime and stuff, but the deployment really isn't there. So hopefully, HTML5 video will let us start to have video kind of pervasively on the internet in a way that's good for users and not just a certain technology vendor.
Yeah, and one thing to add in, an interesting other thing besides video, if you look at that presentation, and there's been a lot of discussion today, is the notifications API, because normally you'd have annoying JavaScript alert dialogues, but now you get things like push notifications and such. So I think that'll be interesting. If you look at that API rocks link, there's just a ton of things you've never heard of, so it's going to start filling the gaps between the desktop and kind of cloud apps.
Yeah.
Great. What about you, Mark? Do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think that, obviously, I'm viewing the world through this window more and more.
What window is that, Mark?
Sorry, I should be clear. My iPad, which
this
I
window
love,
over here?
which I sit on my couch, surfing the web on this thing on your couch is awesome. But it's really annoying, too, because YouTube doesn't work. There is a YouTube application, so we'll work through there, but there's a lot of things I go and try to use that are suddenly, even this weekend, actually, if you go to our site, we basically have a lot of YouTube videos up on the site right now, and you can't go and watch them, so that's really annoying. So I'm hoping, either HTML5 takes off or doesn't. And frankly, from where I sit, I don't really care who wins. Apple obviously cares quite a bit. There is a side of me that says HTML5 is a standard, and so therefore it's kind of nice that a standards body is behind us, something like this rather than one company. So I guess if I had to pick, I'd say I'd hope HTML5 wins, I guess. But this fragmentation that's occurred right now is kind of annoying, and I hope it goes away soon.
I would concur. I want to see all of our videos that are on YouTube on the iPad.
Yep.
When I steal it and you can't watch it at home. Damn it, I tried. All right, story number 2. There's a new cloud communications alliance. We've talked about different cloud alliances on the show before. So now there's a cloud communications alliance that was just announced at the Cloud Computing Expo.
And this is different from the ones we've spoken about before. It's not the same
completely
thing.
different.
It sounds the same, though.
Yeah,
So,
there are about 8 companies involved in it. The goal is to create the nation's first high-definition enterprise voice and data network in the cloud. And the idea is to ensure flexible and manageable voice and unified communication solutions. So one of the companies involved, Altiva, their CEO, Bill, I'm going to chop his last name, Bumbernick.
Bumbernick, that's what it looks like to
Bill
me.
Bumbernick said the Cloud Communications Alliance is not just about voice over IP, hosted PBX, or unified communications. We're introducing an entirely new way to build, deploy, and scale enterprise communication systems that provide HD voice services along with a platform of advanced apps and features that allow businesses to work in ways they never imagined. Do you agree? Why or why not? Is this even necessary? Mark.
I don't know what the hell he said in the second part of that sentence,
Yeah.
but the first part sounded about like what it is. It's pretty much it's a rich media switch. That basically a bunch of operators are agreeing on a standard to cooperate with one another. It sounds more like a telco play, really, than like, an SA, software as a service kind of thing.
What do you think, Gavin?
I think bytes are bytes and packets are packets, and everything else is somebody trying to wall off the garden.
Yes.
Well, that's kind of that's kind of where I was trying to go with this. Is do you think someone's trying to wall things off?
I don't know what these guys are doing. I'm highly suspicious of the telco mindset.
It is a telco mindset
Have the
thing. That's what it
bells
feels
really
like to me.
bash us over the head with these problems?
Yes, the bells have held us back. I completely concur with that.
Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, I look at it and I think like you've got the telco mindset, which isn't the way to go, walling things off, putting it over there. But if it's more of an infrastructure play, so things work well, they scale well, the things that telcos have accomplished to a big degree, but they allow us to plug in, they put APIs, they make it open enough to play around with. That I think could be big. So it's kind of, the devil's in the details and what are those exact details. So it could be nothing or it could potentially be something big.
I think we'll keep our eyes on that just to see where things go with the alliance. And if the audience too, if you have any comments about this too, make sure you mention it in the chat room. We do have our live chat going, so Roberta will make sure to post those questions. Our federal CIO, Vivek Kundra, recently delivered a keynote address that was talking about the potential economic benefits of cloud computing for the U.S. government. We could really use some of that right now. According to his presentation, he said that the federal government spends over $76 billion annually on more than 10,000 systems, and that's to support 300 million plus Americans. So he's saying that the technology infrastructure is fragmented and inefficient, to which I say, duh, and that the number of federal data centers has grown from 432 to more than 1,100. So
wow.
Is cloud computing going to be a catalyst for change with the government when it comes to IT costs? Will they be able to rein in IT costs using the cloud? Gavin?
I don't see it. I think IT systems are like people. They're each a beautiful and unique snowflake, and people have to be able to communicate with each other, but, it is never a one-size-fits-all solution. That's actually
stop
a little.
giving him a plug.
It's a little picture of a house inside of a multicolored camera iris.
Lord.
Just I'm saying, Picasa.
Yeah.
Awesome
We'll be
stuff.
talking about that later. Anyway.
So what do you think, Jason?
Yeah, so I mean, like the whole great thing about cloud computing, whether it's the infrastructure part or the software as a service, is it makes things easier, it makes them more cost efficient. But you look at things like CRM, 80% of CRMs fail or something. The question is, can they take what's there, what's given, what's supposed to work well, and actually do it when you're that large and you are literally the bureaucracy of the country? So I think it'll do something. The question is, how big and how long, and can they stick with it? Kind of like that, I think, project in New York where they just had tons of consultants and it ended up costing, $700 million for what's essentially a simple software system. So we'll see.
I have an interesting view on this.
Okay.
So my first company, we were inside Time Warner, and I won't get into the whole details of it, but basically, I used to have a saying: the hand that rocks the server is the hand that rocks the world. What that means is, if you can actually go and touch your hardware, ultimately you are in control of everything, right? And you would agree with that. And if in fact the government decides to create one data center or unify all these disparate data centers, that is going to concentrate a lot of information power in one place.
Yeah.
Which, as we all know, concentrating power like that is usually not a great idea.
They're going to put in a big tower in Manhattan, right?
I don't know. With a big eye, with a big eye at the top.
The tower, yeah, it's the big data center.
All I'm saying is that there's some implications to this. They will probably save money. There will probably be a move in the government to move all this. We've had this discussion on the show before, where there have been moves to take disparate data centers, like the IRS. Remember that story? We had a story about the IRS. Basically, they've built the largest cloud, and other government agencies are saying, "Hey, you guys built the cloud already. Why don't we sort of glom on? Can you rent that to us? Can we glom onto it?" And so basically, I think that in order to save money, we will start seeing these things come together. Whether that's a good idea politically and power-wise is another idea.
Right.
So.
And then we've got all the companies in Europe that are looking to what we're doing here, and it's one big mess. But at least we have a federal CIO that has a background in this.
We do. At least we have somebody talking about this, which is
at least it's part of the discussion.
Previous administrations. So yes.
Oh, and also the full remarks from Vivek Kundra's speech can be found in the chat room. We'll make sure that we get that in there, and his slide presentation as well. So if you want to look at those after the show. Story number 4. A cloud mashup is a new type of application that combines cloud computing services from different clouds with your on-premise data and services. So what issues do you think could arise from these mashups, these cloud mashups, Gavin?
Well, there's the usual data leaking problems. It's like, I didn't mean for you to mash that up that way. But on the other hand, it's exactly what I'm talking about for the government systems. It's like, yeah, we want to mash stuff together. We want things to talk to each other and work well together. But we want each thing to be good at something, not to have one thing that's kind of at everything. So I think mashing things together is fundamental to the cloud.
When wouldn't it make sense to mash up different services for cloud?
I think when you have really different expectations about quality of service, privacy, user access, any of that kind of stuff where you're risking something by doing it wrong. So the greater the risk, the more careful you have to be about the edges.
Okay. Jason, do you have any thoughts on cloud mashups?
Yeah, so I mean, one part is you got the hardware aspect, and I think you see people might use something, cloud files from Rackspace, and they might actually use EC2 just for configuration reasons and kind of mash those together. But, what we're more versed in and interested in is kind of what's going on with the software end, where, for example, we saw an entire company this week just doing an app based upon high-rise and sending mail letters, and kind of, that's one part. And also, how do all these apps talk to each other? Like Gavin said, do one thing or maybe two things, do it well and work with the others. So you get online invoicing systems, interfacing with CRM systems. I think that's really interesting on the application level, where just they talk together and everything works together nicely.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Mark? What are your thoughts on cloud mashups?
I like them. I think they're the way that this will at least start off, and it may even stay here for some period of time. We're seeing a lot of, I was actually reading, I don't want to go to the next story, but reading the next story.
We can do that.
And they do something, Twitter does something very similar to what we do at Mahalo. That is, we use Amazon, some Amazon services for some things we do, in particular images. Twitter does the same thing for images. So I think that probably for a lot of applications, there will be part in the office, part in the cloud, part in different clouds, and stuff that's best done locally. Even I don't think applications on the desktop are going to go away entirely. I don't believe that you'll just be viewing the world through a browser entirely for all things. And you probably disagree with me, but that's what I think.
We're going to talk about the browser with Gavin separately.
Go watch the last show.
No jumping ahead in the show notes.
Again,
no jumping ahead in show notes.
I'm done.
But we can jump ahead to the next story.
We can.
So Twitter just had its Chirp conference. We know about this, right? And they announced that they're getting their own data center. So why move from their managed hosting provider, NTT America? I mean, NTT was actually expanding partially because of Twitter's need for more space.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. But why move away from NTT America? And then what added benefit will Twitter get from having its own data center space? Mark.
I think it's just basically cost. I mean, I'm guessing here. I'm not them, but at a certain point, you go to a certain extent, and you go, well, we could keep renting cages here and giving, the company you're renting from is making a profit off of you. So you could be saving the money that they're making as a profit. And if you're as huge as Twitter and likely to get bigger, you just sort of look at it and go, you know what? Let's just build our own.
Classic vertical integration play. Just like, oh wait, if we own the farms, then we can make the beef cheaper and get it to our supermarkets cheaper. And
where do you think they'll put it? Does it matter?
No.
Where the power's cheap?
In America, I think. But I don't think other than that.
Look for tax incentives, and you can put a data center anywhere. right? So you put it where it's most profitable to.
Okay. Jason, we got you back up. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I was just playing around with settings there real quick. I mean, there's a certain point where you need to have your own hardware, like Mark said earlier, the person who can actually touch the server controls the world. In this case, Twitter is getting to that scale. And you saw kind of some of the numbers they released in terms of just the data that they're sending out and the amount of people accessing the service. So they're getting to the point where they need to have it. It's a question often comes up. We did something here in Miami, a small computer thing. What point do you move from being in the cloud, something like Amazon and EC2, to having your own bare metal? And I think Twitter has kind of gotten to that point.
Yeah. So critical mass then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up the news bit. So, did you know that it's been raining here in LA today?
Has it really?
And, I melt.
I thought it was a promotion for your show.
It's been raining.
Why, thank you, Shield Maiden. That's not a very Shield Maiden-y looking shield you got going on there. It's kind of
I like it.
pretty, but that's okay. All right. But I'm feeling my voice growing deeper. We all know what that means. Ragnarok is upon us. Volcanoes are exploding. We need a hero. One who can bring us storm on demand. Yes, storm on demand. And actually, I will remember this time and actually put it up on my screen. Storm on Demand is an infrastructure as a service cloud computing platform that is powerful enough to replace dedicated servers and Gavin Doughtie. A proprietary cloud platform that was designed by Liquid Web, one of the largest web hosting providers with over 12 years of experience. It is easier to use and less expensive than Amazon EC2. Also, you can create your own volcano in Iceland. No, that's not true. But they do come with cool guys, that is true. So we got to get our guys up, we got our umbrellas, there we go. Features include server setup in minutes, easy scaling, backup and restoration capabilities, and pay-as-you-go utility-style billing. Options include cPanel, Fantastico, Ubuntu, Debian, CentOS, fully managed servers, private networking, volcanoes, and much, much more. Storm on demand. You need a cloud. Get a volcano or storm on demand. Thank you.
We love our sponsors.
We do. We do. Storm on Demand's
Storm
awesome.
on Demand. Love you guys. Well, now that we've had the silliness beginning, we're going to jump into some with you, Gavin.
I'm not following that. I'm done.
So, Gavin, again, coder for the people. I like this, and I like that we can show off our wrists. See? You've been a software developer for motion pictures, for animation, for game development. What are some of the challenges that you think developers in these specific industries face when migrating to the cloud?
I think game developers are right there. I think with all of these things and with all the applications that I like to see moving to the cloud, it's about how much reach does the web application have all the way out to the edge of the device space? Can I get to the hardware that user is running, that user is looking at? And we'll come back to that again and again. But that's what I think web developers need. So when I was, I did a little Java applet game for Sony in whatever, 2000. And you wouldn't need to do that with an applet today. It was just a little multiplayer card game. You could actually do that. You could use Comet techniques. You could use Ajax. You could get it to work in IE6.
It's pretty good back then.
So you can do that kind of thing for simple games now. But for these big AAA titles where you're using like a lot of graphics horsepower, like a PlayStation game or a PC game, that's something that the technology is now visible. You can start to see that being possible, but it's only in this year that you're starting to get developer builds of browsers with that kind of stuff available. So I think that's the thing that we're all waiting for is power to the desktop, getting the cloud back to your local machine.
So bringing it back then. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, quick question. So I think like IE9 actually said that they're going to do deep integration with the GPU in the browser when it comes to HTML5 and certain JavaScript things. Do you think doing things like that, integrating the GPU and taking advantage of GPU acceleration will be big for doing these type of things and bring them back from the cloud to the desktop?
I think the trick with browsers is making the stuff that browsers do naturally faster and better and slicker and smoother. So if you have like CSS animations and declarative animation and just screen repaint, and of course you want to do that on the GPU if you possibly can. You don't want the CPU huffing and puffing to move all those pixels around. But you also want to expose things like the 3D graphics pipeline and programmable shaders and all of that kind of hardware goodness to a cloud-based application, to a web application. So I think that's the new frontier for cloud applications in the teens. We don't have to make up a word for it anymore. It's the teens now.
Teens, I know.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I don't know. We're in 10.
Yeah.
Ugh. You've said, I think the future belongs to small, rapidly changing organizations that aren't trapped by past successes or occasionally large ones that can create small organizations inside themselves.
The internet remembers everything, Gavin.
Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about any companies
I saw the
that you
show
work
notes
for,
today and I went,
So please tell us.
I've been researched.
Why do you think Google sucks? Tell us that. Just kidding. I'm joking.
We're kidding.
Google is awesome. I do see that there's that tension. You have a success and you want to build on the success, and a lot of the cash that you can extract from a success comes as you fill in all the gaps.
Right.
It's like there's money on the table. It's like Twitter's data center.
Yeah.
Money on the table. We'll do this project, and as we scale up, we can make that money. But as you start to have infrastructure available, it's the way that HTML democratized a lot of things that used to be, custom development. Now you can have somebody writing some markup, and you can present this stuff, and you can share it on the internet. You can publish stuff very, very seamlessly. It doesn't take a lot of expertise to do it. And I think cloud computing technologies working together will enable more of that kind of thing. So you can have new industries sprouting up that provide much more targeted solutions for people. Yep. With less effort and less, you have a smaller ball to push if you're trying to do something unique for your market.
Right. And to the Google point, I mean, look at how Google is using the cloud in terms of very specific applications and areas. So
well, we be the cloud,
exactly.
right?
Google, yeah.
Google be the cloud.
Google thinks they are the cloud.
That's a. I mean,
can there only be one?
No. I mean, I think that's paranoia. But we've got a lot of machines at Google. We want a lot of machines to be out there.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a second too. All these machines.
Maybe we are.
Maybe. I don't know. That PR person. I don't want. She's my friend. Back in 2002, you worked on the 1.0 release of the Picasa desktop product. So was there discussion back then about transitioning to the cloud, or it may not even have been called cloud then, but what were the hurdles that needed to be overcome at the time, for people, to be comfortable keeping their personal pictures on the cloud? Was that even a thought then?
Well, Picaso's kind of got an interesting history there because it came out of Idea Lab, which was a very cloud web 1.0 company. Yeah. And though most of the developers were former Kai's Power Tools developers, so it had this like rich client history and a lot of awareness of what we wanted to do on the internet. Okay. But Picasa itself, you've got to understand, is actually a little desktop search engine for all your images. Mm-hmm. It crawls your hard drive and it lets you search through them really quickly, and then it displays them nicely and lets you do your own personal value add to them.
Now that sounds like the sort of thing I was talking about earlier, where there's like a hybrid between something on your desktop and the cloud, right?
And that's not, and that's going to be, it's going to be quite a while before we're going to have a way to do something for the user that a user should feel comfortable about saying, yes, this web app is welcome to scan every directory on my computer. Right.
Fair enough.
And that's a big ask. It's not a technology problem. It's a
psychology problem.
Psychology and security problem.
Yeah.
And in security, it's going to be, we'll have to actually really solve the security problem, and it'll have to be solved and stay solved for quite a while before we can get around the psychological problem.
What do you think about things like Dropbox, where what they're doing is they're kind of this hybrid of the data, stays on your computer, but it syncs it to the cloud, versus something like MobileMe, where it's just an attached drive that you drag and drop files, and it's only in the cloud. If your computer disconnects, you're done.
I think the user model for the data lives off on the cloud, and I may have a copy of it. I think that's conceptually a nicer and easier to manage model than it's magically the same data on all these devices and the cloud is one of them, just because, like, yes, us as software engineers, that's like a really appealing problem for us to solve, but it's a difficult solution to explain. And so I'm a big fan of, like, yes, the cloud's authoritative. This is my canonical copy of whatever piece of valuable data it is, and I may have it locally to make it easier to use, but cloud is where it lives.
Yeah, and they're doing one other interesting thing. They've started to do it where they've got the file hashing. So if, let's say, I've got a song and I upload it and somebody else has already uploaded it, they just automatically know that that's there, so they don't have redundant copies, and they've gotten that to such scale with everybody's different files there. I think that's another interesting way of having your files live there. But people don't know that. I mean, tech guys like us know that, but most other people won't. Do you think that maybe makes them feel a little bit uncomfortable, or?
I don't know that that's by itself a security problem. That's might be a data leaking problem. I've got references to this file. Who are the people who have references to this file, which is, a commercial piece of software or something under, some kind of intellectual property constraint. But that's more of a data leakage problem. And I think we have to solve that socially as well as technologically.
Right.
All right. Well, this next one, we've got an infographic I would like to pull up if we can.
Oh, am I supposed to have this, or?
We've got it on.
These guys have
We don't. We can actually just post it in the chat room too. There was an infographic about from Gizmodo that was on Google Buzz recently about who owns the most servers.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And let's make sure we at least put that in the chat room. So it's speculated that Google owns more than 2% of the world's servers. Really? Can you confirm this, Gavin? Can you confirm or deny?
What kind of fool do you think I am?
Yeah.
Google has an awful lot of servers.
Yeah.
I remember being at DreamWorks and talking to one of my friends at Google and saying, and he goes, how many servers you got over there? And I was like, well, our render farm has blah, 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 1,000 nodes in it. And he went, oh, that's nice, And I'm sure it's only been more since then. But I don't know. I can't even tell you the specific number. I just thought that was like an amusing infographic.
Exactly.
And I tell you who owns the most servers? We do.
The
most
mob does.
cores.
The mob.
The mob.
That's been the big story lately. The mob is the biggest cloud of them all.
And so,
That's right.
so
You want
there
a piece of
are,
the action? You want some cloud? Is that it?
next to the bot herders, Google's got nothing.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing is, too, does it matter how many? I mean, we've kind of had this discussion before, Mark.
Yeah, Google probably, I would guess it's probably around 2%. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, all right, it's large. We all know this. Yeah. Google is a big fan of commodity hardware that's very cheap. Mm-hmm. They plan for hardware to fail, and they just never remove it. They just basically programmatically route around it. So I'd say that it's likely that in sheer volume that they have a much larger number than probably most people.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I can't really tell you much about it, even if I knew something. Google doesn't have a lot of secret sauce. Mm-hmm. Keeping that many machines running is one of those important things that, that's really specific information. Mm-hmm. Right, and who else needs it?
Mm-hmm.
I actually have the infographic up on my screen. If you guys want to go to my screen.
And
yes.
just scroll
I
down.
love the way the infographic
right
was constructed.
Yes, this is Intel. Rackspace, The Planet. I don't know what half of these other ones are, but Akamai. And then here's Google.
This big yellow box at the bottom.
And we're still scrolling down. Here's Google. Here's Google.
That's Google.
So that's just to give you sort of
it's more for appreciation. We wanted the visual just
look at
to
AT&T. AT&T looks tiny. This is AT&T right here. This is Time Warner Cable. No wonder Time Warner Cable's always going out. Okay, that explains a lot. Anyway, and look, here's Facebook. Ooh, little Facebook. Isn't that cute? Little red Facebook right there.
Little red Facebook.
Yeah, it's a good infographic. Go on.
Yeah, it's just saying size doesn't always matter.
Yeah.
It's what you do with it.
And on that note, number 5.
Getting fired.
Gavin. Gavin. Browser-based apps, they're getting richer. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the technologies that Google's using to make this happen? What does it mean for companies in the apps business?
So my controversial answer here is AdSense. AdSense is the technology we're using to make it better. Because what we're trying to do is encourage people to innovate, right, out in the cloud. The reason that Firefox has, one of the many reasons that Firefox has some significant share in the market is they've got a monetization model. Every time you do a little search in the Firefox search bar, by default, it's a Google search, and people click through on things. Firefox, the Mozilla Foundation makes money, and they can pay their developers, and their developers can eat, and they can continue to innovate in their browser, providing an alternative to the commercial browser. Google Chrome's motivations may be a little different, but it's still other people working and motivated to make that web browser better. And so part of it is a monetization model. Okay. So that's one of the technologies. The more specific stuff that I think that Google is doing is it's providing lower friction ways of implementing web applications. So we've got things like we've got Google App Engine, which is a tremendous tool, a very high level thing. We've got Google Web Toolkit for Java developers who want to do these kind of rich client things, but they don't want to go into the fiddly bits of it. We've got things like the fiddly bits. We even got things like the Google the Closure library. The logo I'm wearing, I'm representing for all my friends on the Closure JavaScript library, which is a very complete, comprehensive JavaScript library for people who want to do rich applications. It's the library we used as the foundations of Gmail and Picasa Web, and most of our consumer-facing products. And you can get that now and download it and improve it. So those are some of the technologies that aren't reliant on things that we're trying to standardize out on the web. Right. You know, the things that we want to be there, whether you're using a Google property or some other property that just make the web better. You know, Google's every technology generation, you've got some company benefiting on that generation, expanding and being better. You know, that's why Sun gave away Java. They say, great, we want the web to expand because then people need to buy servers, and who are they going to buy servers from? Sun. You know, and that was their motivation, and we want the web to grow in the same way because we're interested in the entire web.
Yeah. Real quick, Gavin, which do you think, I don't know if you even have a preference between the two, you're seeing libraries like Cappuccino from the guys at 280 North and 280 Slides, and then you've got Sprout Core, and they just did some interesting things over the past week. Do you have one that you prefer better, or do you think both will kind of be, or there'll be a flame out? I mean, which... I don't know, which do you prefer, and which reasons, why should web app developers maybe be using one or the other?
I have a big rundown of various libraries. So if you've got static web pages and you just want to light them up, jQuery is a really appealing choice. It's got a lot of momentum. A lot of designers feel very comfortable with that. If you want to do something really comprehensive and large, you might want to use Dojo or the Closure Toolkit. Both of those are comprehensive software engineer-focused libraries for doing big projects using JavaScript as the language. You know, if you want to do something like that looks and feels like maybe more of an Apple application, both Sprout Core and Cappuccino are good for that. If you want it to not just look like an Apple application, you want to feel like you're developing an Apple application, then the 280 North stuff is really the way to go, because they've kind of invented their own dialect of Objective-C that runs in JavaScript. They're insane, but it's surprisingly not dog slow. Wow. It's really, and they've got these beautiful clones of Interface Builder, and they're real smart guys. So, you know, props to them.
There's another one, which I'll post a link in the chat. What they did was, I forget the name, it's kind of a lot of letters. They recreated mail.app in like very few lines of code, and it is fast. You know, because people, they say, oh, you know, the web's becoming like the desktop. Normal people, and I say, hey, let me show you this demo, and I take them to, I'm going to post the link now, this link, and I mean, it is quick, it is fast. I'm using Chrome, which probably helps, but I mean, it feels just like mail.app, which is amazing. It's not Sprout Core, it's not Cappuccino, it's something...
yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, there's a lot of people doing really great work with the libraries and taking advantage of newer capabilities in the browsers, you know.
You said browser, so I want to jump into this. How important is the cloud to browser development?
Well, I think they go hand in hand. You know, you can't, the kinds of applications you might want to do are gated in some respects by the ergonomics of the device at the end of them. You know, so like, what's a cloud application? Well, you know, you could say, I've got this generic data service that's going to churn through a bunch of data, and there's certainly applications like that out there. But at some point, you know, someone's going to have to touch the data. It's like there's that analog hole, and the browser is the analog output for whatever kind of service you're producing on the cloud. So as that gets richer and more capable and can display more data in a way that a person can absorb it, the kinds of applications you consider doing as like purely cloud-based applications increases. So you have a lot more reach if you can send the application down to the browser than if like someone's got to go through the friction of installing a piece of software.
Do you guys think the browser will eventually disappear in terms of just becoming much more integrated? You know,
into the operating system. I think if Bill Gates had it his way, that would have happened 10 years ago.
Or you could say the operating system should become the browser. You know, well, there's a lot of perspectives on that.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's got an interest in that internet endpoint being as rich as possible, but some people have the business model of we must control it and it must be our internet endpoint and we're going to gate it off and wall it and extract margin from it. And other people you know, the good guys like Google and, you know, Firefox and, no, I mean, the other people have the business model doesn't rely on it being gated off like that. And I personally, just as an application developer, whether I'm working for Google or any other organization, it's really nice to think that there's a platform I can target, and no one who would ever really compete with me can yank that platform away or perturb it in some way that's going to damage my business.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of comment, actually, Google comment from Eric Schmidt, I think it was last week at Atmosphere. There was a nice sit down he did where he just said, you know, from now on, the way Google thinks and developers should is just that the web is the platform. That is what we are building for. You know, that's what software and web, well, just applications in general should be for. Forget, you know, kind of the desktop. And I think you got that. And you also think, you know, what's been the gap between desktop class applications and the web, and it's closed a lot recently. There's still some more, but even I think this is coming up, like your next question, what's missing in Google's web client stack, even things like printing you guys are thinking about. So I think we're getting really close.
Yeah.
All right. We talked a little bit about HTML5 before, but are there specifics that you would like to address, Gavin, in terms of upcoming technologies within it?
Well, I think if you look at HTML5, it's really how do we expose, again, the local device to the web developer in that webby way. So it's not just that you can do something. I mean, I'm excited if you can do something that you couldn't do before. Like, I can finally talk to the graphics hardware. I can finally, you know, push enough pixels onto the screen to do video. I can play a sound or print or whatever. You know, those are all really important, and it doesn't matter if the way you do it is crappy to start with. But ultimately, what it needs to be is not only can you do it, but you can do it in that really easy, you know, tag soup kind of way that made web development so exciting and fun in the first place. It's like you don't have to do a whole like reams and reams of JavaScript to get something simple like a scrolling list where you can double click on things, or an expandable tree, or, you know, some of these kind of standard things that right now require a lot of code to go down the wire. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just, oh, this is an unordered list, and it's a nested unordered list, and I've got this collapsible thing here, and I can style it to look like one of those objects. I mean, just as an example of something, I mean, I haven't written that, but it would be nice if we started to be able to do that sort of thing. So I'd like to see a lot of developer-facing things that make the web development experience always trend back to that declarative web development model. So you don't have to send a lot of code down to the browser. In the absence of that, I want to be able to send code down to the browser and have the browser talk to the hardware for me.
Gotcha. What is still missing from the web client stack?
You! So the thing that we all need on the web is people using the new web technologies as they come online, making compelling experiences, really pushing it, really saying, well, you know, it's okay if blah, blah % of the browser using public doesn't get to use this app, because this app is something new and exciting that you couldn't do on the web before. And it's a new venture, and my new customers will come to my new app with their new browser, and we'll have this new thing together. So it's not about the missing technology pieces. We've all been well aware of those for a long time, you know. And the thing that keeps them from getting there is people demanding them, and things that keeps people from demanding them is this idea that they can't. I mean, there's this sort of Stockholm syndrome thing among, you know, like old school web developers. It's like, it's never going to work in IE. We can't ship it. It would be so great. There's this thing in Firefox and Safari and Chrome, and we can't use it because it's not in, you know, this browser with this much market share yet. And I think some companies and some younger web developers are really hoping to get past that.
Gotcha. One little thing I wanted to add here on the end with you, Gavin. You pulled a fantastic April Fool's joke with life size and Picasso web albums. Could we pull up Mark's screen, please?
Yeah, I got it up there right now.
I just had to highlight this because I thought it was really, really funny. This was a fun little April Fool's joke that
So what is it? So basically you
that
get
Gavin and
life
his team
size.
pulled.
Yeah, you print it out and you stand it next to you. I mean, that's Jonathan Sposato, the former CEO of Picnic, who's now working on photos in Seattle. And I have nothing to do with this because I have no sense of humor.
Of course not. You're just so dry and, you know, you have no humor
This is a hilarious thing, you know. And often, I will tell you that those April Fool's jokes kind of arise in a grassroots way around the company. You know, Larry and Sergey do not come to you and say, how's that April Fool's joke coming? You know, it's things that teams do. That was like a
just had to share. I thought that one was fun. Well, thank you so much, Gavin. We'll get back to a few more points at the end. But right now, we have another sponsor that we would like to sing our praises to.
Oh, do we? I think it's time for our second performance.
Sing our praises. It's performance time.
Let me get me back up here and get all set up. Gavin, you might want to help me out here.
Do you want to join in?
Gavin's like, oh my God.
What I'm going to sing on Storm on Demand.
Your cloud hosting provider letting you down. Take a look at managed private cloud solutions from Verticore. A private cloud solution that can easily replace your current IT infrastructure and eliminate IT pains. Avoid the cost and hassle of buying and maintaining IT equipment and software.
He's been practicing.
Deliver 100% uptime to end users. Configure and deploy computing resources in just minutes. Do you know how, Amanda? Do you know how we do this? With Verticore, oh Verticore, you should be using Verticore. Gavin, you know how? Verticore, oh Verticore, you should be using Verticore. With Verticore, your private cloud is hosted in an advanced and secure data center. With only best-in-class hardware and software, and gives you access to scalable bandwidth. Verticore's team of experts monitor and maintain your private cloud 24/7/365.
Oh my.
And who are they? They're Verticore, oh Verticore, you should be using Verticore. Verticore, oh Verticore, you should be using Verticore. At Verticore.com. Now I've left the building. Thank you.
Elvis. And
wow, we're getting applause from the guests. That's good. That's good. All right, we're getting better every week.
Well, now it's time for, drumroll please, App of the Week. So we have Jason Baptiste, of course, here with us through Skype, Cloudomatic. Now, Jason, you recently co-founded Cloudomatic, but before this, you founded Ramamia. Is that how we say it?
So it's Ramamia, actually.
Ramamia.
You know, probably the best thing to bring up when it comes to past things, Ramamia was a little bit of a side project, was Publictivity, which I did for about 2 years, which is a software as a service application for PR professionals. You know, and a lot of the problems we see with Cloudomatic and why we started it came out of that, you know, things with distribution, with monetization, with, okay, now I've got this web app, so what do I do? You know, more than the marketing, but, you know, you see people go to the Apple App Store platform, right? And they take care of things that we like to call it AdSense easy, where, you know, with Google, you sign up for AdSense, you give them a bank account, and you're good. That's it. You can start going and making money. That's kind of how Apple is. So we saw those problems and rolled them in a Cloudomatic. Paul Graham also had a post recently called, you know, I think it's organic problems. This was an organic problem that we saw.
Okay. And I also believe that for the first time today, you're going to be showing us Cloudomatic Start. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So to wind back a little bit again, we didn't go into it, but Gavin was part of the Startup Weekend team. We actually came out of Startup Weekend Miami a month ago today with Cloudomatic. You know, it was Frank who came down, ran the event with us. You know, and actually I'm here with my co-founder, Andres.
How are you guys?
I don't know if he...
Hi.
There we go.
We're multiplying.
There we go. Yeah, no, he's been sitting next to me manning the chat room. That's why you've been seeing a lot of Latin America coming on in. And we did it in that weekend. Andres used to be with Groove Shark, and I had the idea for a while. Andres had liked it, and we put together the first version of Cloudomatic that weekend. But, another problem, this is another organic problem we had, was, there's all these web apps we were using as a team over startup weekend, 10 different web apps, right? How do we organize all those? Basically say to the team, people who are coding, helping us in Latin America, that's where a lot of our team is, okay, so what are we using for code repository? What are we using for docs? How do we put all of our company's web apps in one place? So we essentially built what was a hosted version of the Google Chrome start page or Firefox speed dial, so that if we go on another computer, all the apps are there. Or if we want to, somebody new joins the team, we just send them an invite and everything is just there, ready to go. So that's what Cloudomatic Start is, and I'm going to give you guys a quick run through in a minute. I'm just sending the link over for the demo real quick.
Oh, okay. Is it start that? I think I got it up in the chat, or sorry, up on my screen right now.
Yeah, we'll get it set up over here. Can you make sure it's in the chat room?
No.
Yeah, let me send that in for you guys.
Sorry,
well, while they're setting up, Jason, why don't you tell us, maybe 5 of the awesome web apps that Cloudomatic has featured that people might not have heard of?
Yeah, so we've got a list of 5 here. To give you background, we originally had like 80 a month ago, and now we're somewhere around, I would say 400. Things that we've never even heard of that are really cool that people are making on their own, 1 or 2 guys, or even larger companies that might be a little bit funded or whatnot. So the first one is Office Drop, and we'll give you a link for everything into the chat from Cloudomatic to the app. An Office Drop is kind of one of those interesting hybrid applications that's take, your web documents, not your web documents, your offline documents, actual physical paper, send it to them, and they scan it in, and they will put it on, cloud hosting, or now they have a program where it goes to Google Docs. So all of a sudden you can take that paperwork, for example, if you're a doctor, and that'll go over to Google Docs. The second application is Reinvigorate, which is invite only now, I believe, but if you email them and tell them you're with This Week in Cloud Computing and Cloudomatic, they should get you one. It's real-time analytics, and it's what we use when we do product launches, or we know we're going to have a spike in traffic, and if we want to see, just what's going on. Literally if somebody hits the site, we see how many visitors, what pages they're on, and that gives us a good progression. It's different than Google Analytics, where you got to wait a little bit. The delay is less, but it works nicely. The third application is Beanstalk, and I've been using this for a while. They've been around for about 2 years now. I think even before GitHub. And their code repository, just online subversioning. They have Git, they have SVN. That's what I originally used it for, and it's just a beautiful interface. They've got subscription billing that makes sense for everybody, and it just works nicely. I mean, everybody's kind of got their own choices. Is it Assembler? Is it GitHub? We like Beanstalk. That's what we personally use.
Hey, Jason, let me just stop you there real quick, because I think if you go to my screen, I've got your main website up, so people can get sort of a sense of what this looks like. So this is your main website. I go to cloudomatic.com, and it's interesting. It does look like the iTunes App Store, except it's like a cloud app store is what it looks like to me, which I think is what you guys are going for.
Yeah, that's essentially it, right? Like, we believe the web is the platform. I mean, most of these apps, the interesting thing is they didn't exist 18 months ago. Besides the bigger guys like Basecamp or maybe Beanstalk was just getting started. These are new apps, so we're seeing this surge, and they want a central place to start selling their application, start promoting it, distributing it, and it's kind of, we talk about gaps between mobile and desktop apps and web apps, and we think this is one. Right now it's essentially very much a directory, but we plan on building in a lot of the monetization aspects to help developers make the money. Actually, if you navigate to a specific app, I can show you how it plays into Cloudomatic Start.
All right, I'm going to Wink Bill.
Okay.
Finance. So
go
go
ahead.
to my screen. I'm on Wink Bill.
Choose that. Just wait. So if you click on Wink Bill, actually, it's cached. What's there? There's usually a button that we just added that says "I use this."
Oh, it's up there. It's up on my screen right now. So I'm mousing over it on my screen. You see it?
Oh yes, I use this. I see it.
Oh, it is okay. I thought that would be visit site. My bad. Yeah. So click I use this.
Okay.
So you figure, you're somebody. Oh, I use this. I'm on the site.
Ah.
Nice.
And added it to my start. So now it threw me over to start.cloudomatic.com, which is what you guys wanted to show. That's what you're launching today.
Yeah. That's the new thing, right? So, it'll keep adding apps. If you go to the search box, search an app to add. Let's say Wufoo is one of.
How do you spell it?
WU.
Oh, Wufoo. Oh, got it. So it's nice and, oh, look at that.
And you just click it and it comes on
Oh,
in.
wow, immediately.
Yeah, so it's like makes a little like a little homepage for you.
Yeah, so it's basically, if you're familiar with Chrome, or even I think Safari has done it, these are all the apps you use. It's hard to customize it. In a lot of ways, it's not, I don't want to use the social term, but you think like IT deployment. You sit and pick, let's say you're the first person in the company or whoever's tasked with it. You pick the 5 to 10 apps you use. If you fill in that box where you can save the page with an email and a demo password, it lets you save it and then go in and customize the URLs to. You think things like Google Apps have, something like mail.google.com/a/cloudomatic.com. Things people usually don't want to remember, they don't want to type in. You can then associate that login URL so you're just directly taken to, that application and its login screen. You should be there.
Right.
And this is just another kind of organic product. We call it. It's something we saw as a problem. Doing Startup Weekend, we were using like 5 to 10 different apps. People we were just starting to work with on this project, and we said, okay, just what are all the apps we use? And we kind of used like a very, very early alpha version of this. And we said, okay, let's roll this out. From us, kind of, what are we going to use it for? It will let us kind of tell what apps are popular, what people are using, and also then target and suggest apps. We'll know, hey, you're not using a collaboration tool, specifically for this, or, you are. Here's another one to suggest. It'll give us kind of detailed insights into what apps people are using.
Would it be fair to describe you guys as the iTunes of cloud apps?
Yes, that's exactly. People say like, what's the catchy, like buzzwordy?
That's it.
Elevator pitch. An app store for software as a service.
So you take a cut from. So a lot of these apps I'm seeing actually they cost money. There's some that are free, some that cost money, like the App Store. And I assume you take a cut off the ones that cost money. Is that correct?
Correct. So right now, and I guess this will give you a little bit idea what we're planning. If there's any developers, we'd like to talk to you about what your needs are. The bigger guys like Basecamp and I'm trying to think who else, like iContact, they have an affiliate program.
Right.
Which is great. We take a cut. That's good, and we're already ranking for a lot of search terms. That's decent traffic. But I would say 90% of these developers do not have an affiliate program because maybe they're small 2 to 3 shop guys, or even if they're well funded, that's just not in their plans, right? It's something that it's time to build, and commission junction is expensive. It's not built for subscription billing, so we hope to build, that's the next thing we'll be doing, the engine for that, so that A, we can monetize, and B, give somebody who develops a software as a service application a weekend, if it's a good application, a network of people to kind of quote unquote pimp it out on their blog or their site. Like This Week in Cloud Computing, you guys could embed 5 apps that you think are great and get a cut. And the good thing is, these guys have I don't want to say a lot of money, but the cost per acquisition that they can spend is pretty high. I think right now, I contacted an interviewer, it's like $400 they'll spend because they know the lifetime value is like $2,400, so they can spend that.
Yeah.
It's just, go ahead.
I was going to say, so now I believe you said earlier there's about 400 apps in your on Cloudomatic right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And now if I'm a developer and I'm going, oh my God, this looks awesome. I wish I could. How do I get my app in your app store? How do I go about doing this? Is there an application process or anyone's accepted?
So we make them wait about 30 days. Then maybe we'll give them a random rejection reason that made. We don't do that. It's simple. If you go to cloudomatic.com, there's a submit button on the top right. As soon as literally if you submit an app now, I don't know if anybody's in there. It'll come up on my phone with a text message that, hey, there's a new app.
There it is.
We'll go in, just make sure it's good, put some of the information in. We take nice screenshots, or if a developer says, hey, here's some of the screenshots, we'll put it in. Usually, it happens very fast.
Yeah, so here, I'm actually, if you go to my screen real quick. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's the submit app button you were just talking about. I click, there's my submit app form. It's that simple. Look at that.
Submit your app right there.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it now. Eventually we'll build like a developer center so it's a little bit more intertwined, but it was kind of like the startup weekend mentality of, how can we get this so people can do it quick? And the way we got a lot of our first initial apps was through Hacker News, where I spent a lot of time, Y Combinator's site. We said, hey, we're launching a product, essentially this software as a service app store. We need apps. We know some, but you guys have them out there. Plus, we'll help promote you as some of the press we get. And we had a Google Docs spreadsheet open as well that was edited in real time. There were like 50 app developers editing in real time, putting in, I think we got from that.
Google Docs.
It's actually fun. Like they do this a lot of the time on Hacker News. Like one was like a co-founder search thing, right? So it's this real time kind of like Etherpad spreadsheet in Google Docs. And I'm curious to try it with the new real time updates they had. And you just have like 50 people editing. And it's fun to watch just to see people doing this. So yeah, that's where we're at now. Somebody's like, oh, well, it's a directory. Well, yeah, that's what we could do, in a month. And then we put out the start page, and we're working on next kind of the more developer focused things. I was really actually happy to hear Gavin say like Google AdSense is a very big thing for developers, because we want them to be able to develop a software as a service application, start distributing it and monetizing almost as fast as they could with AdSense, which is, here's a piece of JavaScript, give us your bank account number so we can give you money, we'll take a tiny bit to approve, and that's it. That's why iTunes works well, is give them, the bank account number to give you money, and iTunes Connect.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the merchant account, and you get paid. So that we're trying to build that piping.
This is pretty awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Good
Well done.
resource. And also just to circle back as it relates to Startup Week, and Gavin, you're obviously involved with Startup Weekend stuff, right? That's close to your heart a bit.
Well, Startup Weekend is great because you get to hack on something that's different from what you hack on all day long, and you get to do it with a bunch of other people that you don't spend time with all day long. And you maybe you'll do something great like Cloudomatic that becomes a real company. In my case, I've got a job, I got kids about to hit college, so I like to go and just work on something new or work on a project that I'm trying to get going on the side, and it's a terrific experience. It may be frustrating and a smoking pile, but it's only the one weekend.
Isn't there one coming up here in LA?
There's one coming up not this weekend, but next weekend on the 30th to the 2nd at Coolong, which is just a few blocks from this very studio.
Wow, Coolong in Santa Monica.
Coolong in Santa Monica.
If you want to go to Startup Weekend LA.
It'll be fun.
Great. Is there anything that you want to add, Jason? Have we covered off the majority of it, or?
No, I think that's there, and you guys kind of hit the nail on the head with what we're aiming to be. I guess if there's any developers, in the crowd just with apps, even if they're thinking of kind of side projects, please send them to us. Personally, we love this stuff. I just love seeing like the apps we've never heard of, but we get you guys up fast. We want to work with you. So right now, it's all about developers. If you have an app that is software as a service, please send it to us because we want to put it on Cloudomatic.
You need to do that developers thing.
Yeah, and I'll get like all sweaty. Maybe I'll throw like a chair or something. I'll go.
Oh, Steve.
Well, on that note, I think it's getting a little cloudy out again. And
Are you feeling Ragnarok approach once again?
I think I hear some thunder.
Ragnarok is here. All right. Time once again for Storm on Demand. Maker of cool little guys with the Kung Fu grip.
He looks like Patrick Warburton.
Doesn't he? I don't know. He looks like the Hulk. Hulk smash cloud. No. Storm on Demand is an infrastructure as a service cloud computing platform that is powerful enough to replace dedicated servers. A proprietary cloud platform designed by Liquid Web, one of the largest web hosting providers with over 12 years of experience. It is easier to use and less expensive than Amazon EC2. I'm so glad our little guys are back. I missed them last week. It's easier to use. Oh, I already said that.
Storm on Demand.
Features include server setup in minutes, easy scaling, cool little guys, backup and restoration capabilities, pay-as-you-go, utility-style billing. And options include cPanel, Volcanoes, Fantastico, Ubuntu, wrecking Europe's air travel. No, I'm just kidding. Debian, CentOS, fully managed servers, private networking, and much, much more. Storm on Demand can be found at stormondemand.com. Get your storm today. We love them. They're awesome.
Get your
Storm on
storm
Demand is fantastic.
today.
And it is raining in LA. So
it is. It actually is raining in LA.
They've brought a Storm on Demand to
The
us.
umbrella.
Yes. Thank you, Shield Maiden. Storm on Demand.
Well, thank you to our guests. Thank you, Gavin, for being here today, who works at Google, as we know.
But I'm not here as a representative of Google, or I am a member of the technical community,
Exactly.
and I work at Google because I'm interested in this stuff. I'm not interested in this stuff because I work at Google.
Exactly.
So I think this is.
You're not a number.
I am not. I am a free man.
Nice. Good job.
Oh, my.
We do know each other.
Wow.
Prisoner reference for those of you.
And help. Jason, thank you for joining us as well. Jason Baptiste, CEO and co-founder of Cloudomatic. And make sure, people, that you are going to Cloudomatic and putting your apps in there.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Got a software as a service application. Put it on Cloudomatic.
Awesome. And we'll also tag the apps we mentioned, the 5 ones, with cloudomatic.com/tag TWiCC. We'll do that in the next 5 minutes and put it in the chat. Or when you guys do,
tweet it out. Make sure you tweet it out.
We will.
At TWI Cloud Comp.
Yes. And please thank our sponsors, too.
Yes.
Our sponsors make this show possible. They are totally awesome. In fact, with Verticore in particular, Verticore is what this weekend is on. And we had a little issue 2 nights ago. And they were on it. Basically, I was calling someone.
They're so fast.
Somebody called me from their home. I'm not going to say who, because I don't know if they always do this. But I got a call from someone late night at their home, and stuff was fixed like that. So it was pretty awesome. So Verticore is awesome.
Yep.
Storm on Demand, awesome as well. And, of course, NetDNA CDN. So please thank them in your tweets.
At Verticore, at Storm on Demand, at NetDNA CDN.
You never know when I'm going to give away another iPad.
Exactly.
Just saying.
And we do have the rest of the books, so we will be tweeting out who the winners are.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna keep everyone on here, but we will tweet that out.
People wanted to know about the iPad with the books too.
Yeah, the books are great. So there'll be 4 more winners drawn at random right after the show. So we'll tweet it out.
Watch those tweets. And again, ideas for the show, make sure you send them to pitch@thisweekend.com. That comes to myself and Mark Jeffrey as well.
Yep.
So ideas for guests, any upcoming shows, webinars, whatnot, award submissions that need to be filled out so that you guys can get recognition for all the good work that you do. Pitch@thisweekend.com. So I'm Amanda Coolong. Next week, same time, same place, same cloud time, same cloud channel. See you next week.